Welcome to the AFC West Roundtable, a weekly live show featuring top-tier insight and analysis on all things AFC West. From the best creators in the division, including Denver Broncos creator Ryan, Kansas City Chiefs creator Marcus, Las Vegas Raiders creator Samoan, and Los Angeles Chargers creators Bolt Bros. Catch the AFC West Roundtable every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on the AFC West Roundtable YouTube channel. AFC West Roundtable, welcome back into another episode, and boy, oh boy, is it a special edition of today of the AFC West Roundtable for all of you OG fans here for the AFC West Roundtable, because we got our good friend Ben returning to fill in for our good friend Ryan today, man, and we're gonna get into so much. We're gonna see how these guys kind of mesh, and we've heard Ryan's thoughts here and there about the Denver Broncos over the last year, but it's been quite some time since we heard from Ben, and now you guys got Waddle. There's a lot more to talk about. This is going to be your free agency recap. Last week, we dove into each of these teams, the moves they were making on day 2 of the legal tampering period. Lots of moves from all these teams. We're not going to touch upon too many of those, but we're going to talk about what have these teams done over the last week, and each of these guys going to give their grades for their team's free agencies and, of course, the other team's free agencies in the AFC West. On the way in, make sure you guys slam that like button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's get into some of the biggest topics. I want to start off with the biggest topic in the NFL, I would say, over the last few months at least, and that was the situation with Max Crosby. Samoan, we talked about it last week, and you were like, dude, first-round pick, extra picks, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get off the show, we find out that you actually are not going to have that first round pick because the Ravens decided that they were going to jump out of the deal because of a failed physical, if you will, which I don't really think any of us are buying into. So, Simone, break down for me real quick what happened with that whole situation and what side are you on? Are you on the side of, I'm glad that we're keeping Max Crosby, or are you on the side of, I wanted those picks?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm like, we talked about it before we got on air, man. Of course, something happens right when we get off of air, right? Like last week, I was feeling high. I'm kind of mad because I didn't get to do a mock draft with 2 first-round picks, but it is what it is, right? The whole situation, I think, is kind of all over the place, and I think as a Raider fan, it definitely was a roller coaster. I barely got over the whole situation with trading Max Crosby away, being an emotional Raider fan, and then the Ravens back out of the deal, and I'm like, yo, what the hell's going on? Because one of my guys hit me up before it dropped as well. I was like, ain't no way. And then I seen it drop. I was like, oh, sheesh. But for me, I never wanted them to leave. Even for the draft picks, I always wanted them to stay. But after the Raiders made all those moves that we did on day 1 of free agency, or the tampering period, I was already excited for the future of this team, and I was already moving on. And then seeing this news made me even more excited about it, because I knew that the Raiders could afford his contract. Of course, the Raiders would have to work things out, but bringing back Max Crosby to the team that we just built, because it's not the same team that he was on when he left. So I think the addition of Max Crosby, it's kind of like the Raiders basically traded the 2 first-round picks to get Max Crosby. But I think overall, I was really excited about the news, and I was like, okay, the only thing I was hoping is that he announces that he stays with the team, because I talked to people in the Raiders organization, and they was like, we're not going to announce anything because it's all on him, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. So I think for him to come out and tweet what he tweeted out, saying that he's going to stay a Raider this year, he's going to go out there, and I believe that the Raiders or the NFL is going to see the best version of Max Crosby, because I know he has a chip on his shoulder with everything that went on. And I think everybody already knew when they failed his physical, everybody was like, man, if they signed Trey Hendrickson the next morning, then we all know what they was up to. They ain't slick with it, So, I mean, and they didn't waste any time. Hours later, Trey Hendrickson signs with the Ravens, and all hell breaks loose. And it is what it is. We get him back. And I think a lot of teams were kind of mad because it kind of shifted the whole way everybody was kind of playing free agency, and even the Max Crosby situation. But overall, I'm just happy to have him back. And I'm excited to see what he can do this season.
You know what? I saw a report, too, that said they actually had them both in the building at the same time. They had Max Crosby, they had Trey Hendrickson in the building at the same time. And Max Crosby even saying himself, when he was talking to the general manager there for the Ravens, they were like, oh, we have some concerns about your health. And he was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. How do you have a problem?
I don't know if they were in the same building at the same time, but I know that they were in calls or something like that, trying to figure stuff out with Trey Hendrickson. But I guess what they were saying was like they wanted to have both of them play together. I kind of call cap on that whole situation, but I felt like they were already moving on, but I think overall, like I said, I'm just happy to have him back on the squad already.
You know what, Simone? He saw all the moves that you guys are making in free agency, and he was like, you know what?
Let me go back.
We might be good. We might be decent. I'm gonna give it one more year. I'm gonna run it back.
Yeah, he was like, all of a sudden, these guys want to go get defensive players.
Could you imagine he leaves and you guys go to the playoffs, and he's like, so maybe that's down the line that it was actually Max Crosby that came out, and he was like, I'm coming back.
maybe, who knows? But I'm just happy he's here.
Let's go on over to you, Ben. Ben, what were your thoughts when you heard about that whole situation with Max Crosby? And I mean, I'm sure as a Broncos fan, you probably would have preferred that he was with the Ravens instead. But just from your mouth alone, would you have preferred him on the Ravens or the Raiders?
Oh, 1,000%. Get him in Baltimore, get him as far. I wish he went to the NFC instead of the AFC, but I mean, Sean Payton went out and talked to Jay Glazer immediately after and was like, he actually reached out to Max and offered to pay a charter flight for him to fly out to Baltimore. Like, he has been truly the only thing on that Raiders team for a long time that has scared Denver fans. I think he has sacked a Broncos quarterback every single time that he's played them. So that is a massive bummer. I also just feel bad for the Raiders, dude. Like, that is a crummy situation, and the Ravens are just a dog water franchise. So I hope they miss the playoffs, and nothing but the worst to them.
Nothing but the worst to them. Point blank, period. Marcus, let's go down to you. What were your reactions when hearing that one?
I mean, I think DeCosta's a scumbag. I mean, like that whole situation is just so dirty, man. And I think I think Will Compton was talking about a similar situation back in 2018, maybe. It was around a time where they signed Ryan Grant, the receiver, the running back, and I guess the Raiders cut either the Raiders or 49ers cut Crabtree, and at the time, what happened? The Ravens didn't actually end up signing Ryan Grant. They actually said no, and they ended up when got Crabtree. So just a dirty organization, man. And I think I read that Crosby said that he'd never even got to meet with DeCosta while he was there. Yeah. He said he wanted to meet Minter. Minter didn't come till the end of his day there. So the whole thing's just really weird. Like, it's obviously it's a slimy business, and for me, when I see that kind of stuff, it's like, obviously we want guys to sign good deals for our teams, but at the end of the day, man, these guys need to look out for themselves because these organizations don't give a fuck about the players. So it's disgusting, but it does suck to see him back in the division. But I know Mahomes and Crosby have some good duels, and they are friends. So it's cool to see the Raiders have their guy back. But honestly, I also wouldn't be surprised too. I know if he does get traded too, and maybe after the draft, I've seen some experts say that maybe after the draft, they can get maybe future picks for him for next year's draft. So maybe that's something too. But right now, he's playing it cool with the Raiders. But yeah, very, very terrible situation. DeCosta can go fuck himself.
I think DeCosta is definitely on the Epstein list, don't you think, Andrew? Probably.
I wouldn't put that as a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be now, right? I mean, even if he wasn't before, they're definitely going to include him now in that. You just see Max Crosby behind the scene, just editing it just real quick.
Might as well put him on there at this point.
That's a good meme. I like that.
You see Samoan with him behind, watching the door, come on, someone's coming. But Andrew, let's go down to you. What were your reactions when hearing the whole Max Crosby situation?
Yeah, I think I don't want to really, reiterate what everyone said, but I will just leave it from one other perspective. We all know that the Chargers defensive coordinator is now the head coach of the Ravens. And that defense Jesse Minter runs really needs 3 edge rushers, at least when they, go third and long. They like that NASCAR package. Again, Chargers did not get to retain Adolphe Yowe, who obviously did a great job, signed for a huge bag to the Commanders. So I bring that up because it just makes me wonder what kind of defense they're going to run. I know this is a pretty deep edge class, but I think the Ravens probably are going to stretch for an edge rusher if they don't feel happy with what they have in the room right now. But again, I also didn't like the fact that the Raiders were going to have 2 first-round picks because of it. So I'm kind of cool with, in a weird way, I'm kind of okay with Max Crosby being in with the Raiders again. But I really didn't want them to have 2 first-round picks either, right? So it's a little bittersweet for me altogether. I guess in my mind, it's kind of a wash. But it was really interesting and it was a little slimy. I was a little surprised by that. I didn't quite know how to take it, but It is a dirty business, guys. It is a business after all. As fans, you have to remember these are business decisions that have to be made. And, sometimes you get upset and you say, well, why is my player leaving? They got to make the right decision for themselves and their family also. So it's something to keep in mind.
This is certainly true, but kind of like Simone alluded to, this isn't out of the usual if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and as Marcus hit upon there too. And so at some point, I feel like if you're a free agent, you're a player, you got to kind of look at Baltimore and say, can I be the next guy that they kind of do this to? And so something to watch. Honestly, I think the NFL should do some type of investigation about this, because if it was another organization, damn well they would be like this. There's something scummy about the situation. I think we can all see that.
Do you think that they'll get rid of the tampering period now, or what?
The tampering period is so stupid, but like it's kind of fun too, though, because like players can like dodge out last minute. It's good.
It's fun if it's not your team,
It's good for the media, right? It's good for the media side of the league to have that tampering period in case players do want to drop out.
Yeah.
It might not be like great for the league, but within the media itself, getting people to talk about it, getting all over social media, having it trending, it does help the league in a way.
A lot of reporters were pretty pissed off about it. A lot of the insiders, like I know Palmer, Pelissero, all those guys were so mad about this because, I mean, it makes them look bad when they're reporting stuff like this, and then 2 days later, it doesn't come to fruition. It makes them look bad and loses credibility.
That's true.
It's kind of funny that it's called the legal tampering period, too. Okay, you could legally do whatever you want. I don't know. I just think it's...
You can legally talk to them, but they're not actually on your team for a few days. But honestly, too, on the Baltimore Ravens, you got to think about it like this. Did you not know what you were getting yourself into? Did you not know the rest of the league and what the market was going to be with these other players that you went and made this trade and then said, oh, never mind, let's back out because another guy's better? That just seems like,
I think especially because they lost a lot of players too, and I think everybody was talking about how good the Raiders got, like with that deal. They were probably like, we probably could just get Hendrickson and just save the 2 first-round picks. Which, I mean, from business standpoint, I understand, but it's still kind of dirty though.
It might help you now, but in the future, how much is it going to help you when players don't want to play for you after this situation?
Oh, yeah, and I don't think any GM is going to do a deal with DeCosta again. Like
something to certainly keep in mind, because it's kind of screws over your team if you expected to have those picks.
I mean, the Colts almost had Hendrickson. That's what I see.
That's true.
Yeah.
And until the whole Max thing went up, so I'd be mad too. Like if I was the other teams trying to get Max Crosby or Hendrickson, so it kind of screws everybody over.
I mean, with Hendrickson, it's so fun to think about him going against a left tackle who's built like a T-Rex. That's a shot at you, Colby. So maybe we can talk Super Bowl too. And these are his arms.
Hey, that'll be a good if we get Ruben Bain versus Will Campbell, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, Campbell's not too great, but it's all good. He'll get better, right, Colby?
Oh, he'll get that. He was also playing through a MCL injury, so he probably shouldn't have been out there. But that's a talk for another time. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Max Crosby situation.
Guys.
There's some other stuff to get into, because a big trade happened today, which could really switch up what wide receivers go for on the open market, with Jalen Waddle now going to the Denver Broncos. We're going to talk about that. Now, I do see this. Colby thinks Drake outplayed Sam. I want to make this clear because a clip went viral on the AFC East Roundtable, and it's all over social media. It was taken out of context. I said that Drake may statistically play better than Sam Darnold, which factually speaking is correct, but Sam Darnold by the eye test did play better than Drake, but both quarterbacks played absolutely horrific in the Super Bowl. That's the only correct take. Correct take, but let's kick this off to you, Ben. Let me know, what do you think about this trade? And do you think that you guys gave up too much for Jalen Waddle? Because what I will say is the last time a wide receiver was traded for a first-round pick was A.J. Brown in 2022.
Yeah, I'm losing my ever-loving mind with excitement. Like, Sean Payton just threw open our Super Bowl window. I feel bad for the rest of the dudes in this chat, because now there's literally no weakness on this team. I think the Jalen Waddle, essentially they calculated the value of all the picks that we gave up, because we gave up a first, a fourth, and a third, but we got back a fourth for that as well. And overall, it'd be the equivalent of the 26th overall pick in the NFL draft, because of when you're a broken ankle away from the Super Bowl, you're picking at 30. And so totally Jalen Waddle is better than anyone we would have gotten with the 30th overall draft selection. And you got to remember that he is top 10 receiver in professional football, and he's been catching punts from Tua Tagovailoa for all this time. And I just think you now have the best wide receiver room in the AFC West for sure. And we're talking a team that swept the Chiefs, swept the Raiders, should have swept the Chargers, won 14 games last season, should have been 15. An illegal a call on a missed field goal gave the Colts another win, but this Broncos dynasty is back and we couldn't be more pumped about it. So yeah, I think it was an absolute steal. And you just look now at the different types of receivers the Broncos have. Jalen Waddle, 40% of his completions last season were interior and in the middle, about 13 yards down the field. And it's like our leading receiver last year who was receiving that area was Cortland Sutton, and it was 11%. So you now have like the entire field open to Bo Chapman-Nix, and there's a ton to Bo leave in.
You know what, Ben? I completely agree with what you said too, because there were some talks about, all right, well, could the Denver Broncos go out there and trade for an A.J. Brown? And it was like, well, that doesn't make sense because you got Cortland Sutton. That's very redundant with what you already have. But now you have a guy that can play inside, outside, has the speed on top of Cortland Sutton's ability to make those contested catches down the sideline. And so makes a lot of sense for Denver. But Ben, you're telling me you're completely okay with what you guys had to give up compensation-wise.
Oh, yeah, man, because yeah, you basically gave up a first-round draft pick, and then your third-round draft pick moves from pick 30 back to 11 spots back. So absolutely I am. You look at the I think it's a $4 million cap hit this year, and so it's just a really great deal. And unlike AJ Brown, who was reading self-help books and throwing his quarterback under the bus, Jalen is like a team first dude, plays in a college football playoffs with a broken ankle 11 weeks after he broke it. Nick Saban came out and said that he was the most popular player in the Alabama locker room. He played with Pat Surtain, who went on TikTok today with a FaceTime with him. He's going to fit in perfectly, and it's just a perfect skill set. And there's no way you could find Jalen Waddle talent at pick 30 this year, right? Like there's talk, are we going to try to trade up for Kenyon Sadiq? Or, I mean, who's going to be there at 30 who's better than Jalen friggin' Waddle? Nobody.
Yeah, that's certainly a good point. Let's go down to you, Marcus. What do you think about this trade? And looking as a Chiefs fan, are you saying, ha, you guys got robbed? Or are you saying, oh, damn, I can't believe this guy's in the division?
I like Waddle. I'm a big Waddle fan. I think I like him more than a lot of Chief fans do. I still see him. He's not, I know you said top 10 receiver, Ben, but like, I'm like, he's a top 10 receiver. I think he's a solid receiver. I think he's a top 15 receiver in the league, top 20 receiver. I think he's more of like a wide receiver 2-ish kind of guy. And I think with Sutton there, it's a 1A, 1B kind of thing. I don't think he's going to be like that dude. I do think you are going to utilize the shit out of him. He's trading a lot of picks to get him. I think two things. One, I think this trade is going to throw a wrench in the whole AJ Brown sweepstakes because they just got a first, third, and fourth for Jalen Waddle. There's tiers to it. I think Brown's a better receiver than Waddle overall. I do think I will say this. With the trade you guys did with Waddle today, I think if you're a Bills fan, you're sitting there being like, you know what? Like, we kind of got to steal with DJ Moore. All we traded was a second-round pick, and I think Waddle is closer to DJ Moore than he is an AJ Brown type, and I do think that DJ Moore, the second-round pick for DJ Moore is a much better deal than trading a first, third, and fourth. Well, you got a fourth back. So a first and third for Waddle. I do think that it was kind of an overpay, but I get it. You guys wanted another dude out there with Sutton. But I think it's a bit of an overpay for Jalen Waddle.
So you're gonna like line McDuffie on it? Oh, okay, he's gone. Yeah. Okay. Good point.
I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I think it was an overpay. That's fine. I mean, but I will say this: McDuffie did get cooked by Cortland Sutton, and I mean, judging by a lot of the Broncos fans, they don't like Cortland Sutton at all. But yeah, McDuffie, we got a lot for him. I think we got the same amount you guys traded for Jalen Waddle. So.
There you go. Let's go on over to you, Andrew. What were your thoughts about this trade? Are you on the board with Ben where you're like, okay, this is great for the Denver Broncos? Are you more there with Marcus where you're like, good addition, but wow, you guys overpaid?
I think you said it perfectly though, that they're ready to win now. They just need one or two more pieces, and I think they think this is the piece. But that's a lot to give up. I really think it's a ton. Again, first round pick, third round, and fourth round, obviously switching, receiving a fourth round pick in this year's draft. I get it, right? You can argue all day like, well, hey, it's worth it. It's still one player, right? It's still one player. And there's still going to be players in the draft you could go scoop up. And I can't remember, did they scoop up his contract? Because I saw something about him having three more years left on his $84 million extension, right? So is there any word on exactly how much they're taking that entire contract, aren't they?
Dolphins already paid a bunch of this year, so it's like $4 million on the cap this year, and
Okay.
then we have the other 2
And
years.
you have the rest. Okay. And it'd be interesting to see if they have an out on it or anything like that. But look, bottom line, the Broncos think they can win now. And that's, hey, if they think that their team is missing just a few pieces, maybe he is the piece of the puzzle, right? So again, the AFC West is going to be competitive. And I hate to admit it, I think the Raiders are going to be a halfway decent team this year. Again, we don't like
that's better than last year. Come on.
At all. But for Denver, it's a good move if you really believe in your team. And the interesting thing, too, I would say this one last thought is Denver really didn't spend up a whole lot of money in free agency up until this point. They pretty much didn't spend anything. Look at I think the Seahawks are one of the other teams that didn't spend hardly any money. The Eagles didn't spend very much money in free agency because guess what? These teams think that they have a good team in general. The teams that reach, the Raiders, for players, they need to find a way to get back to the playoffs, and you have to spend money, right? So it's something to keep in mind. And hey, look, if they think that's the last piece in the puzzle they need, we'll see how it plays out.
I've seen some fans dog the Broncos were taking on Waddle's contract, but like if you look at the receiver market this year, Alec Pierce, Romeo Dobbs, I mean those guys are getting paid way more than Waddle, and Waddle's in a different class compared to those guys. So like I agree. I've seen some overreaction on the contract they're taking on. I think that's ridiculous.
A good example too. Waddle Johnson's going to make close to $18 to $20 million.
Yeah, Waddle's 17 per year, just above Romeo Dobbs and Shaheed. So I feel like he's in a different class than those
100%.
dudes.
It's actually a steal. And honestly, if he balls out with the Denver Broncos, you guys might actually have to do the opposite. You might have to look at that contract and say, well, now we have to adjust. We have to give you a pay increase because, dude, so many people do not realize that the cap space has gone up every single year over the last few years. And so with that being said, when the cap space goes up, the teams have more money. What players are going to ask for is also going to go up. Look, the quarterback market going up every single year. The wide receiver market going up every single year. The highest paid wide receiver is Jamar Chase, making $40.5 million average annual value. So for a wide receiver 2, low end wide receiver 1 like Waddle, not even making half of that, I mean, that's a bargain of a deal. Anyone who's saying he's overpaid is, I'm questioning you a little bit to say the least. But Samoan, let's go on over to you. What are your thoughts about this move?
Yeah. I think initially, as a Raider fan, I was hating on the move, like, and the chats and stuff and my chats and stuff like that. But I think overall, I think it's a great move for the Broncos, honestly. And I didn't really know what pick they had until I looked at it. And giving up that first round pick is damn near a second round pick. And I think that they paid a good price for it. And just like Andrew's point, I think the Broncos, after what they did last year, they're in win now mode, so they don't really care about those picks. So if you feel like you can win with this guy, with Jalen Waddle, then I think it was a good move for them. If that's the guy that you want to go get and you believe in, and it's easy to look at what the last season and past couple seasons, and I know that Ben brought it up about having Tua, even though Tua is my cousin and I love him. He wasn't the best quarterback in the last couple of years. So I think you got to kind of look at what he can do with this offense now with the other weapons that they do have over there in Denver and Bo Nix. When Bo Nix gets healthy, he has another weapon over here because it's Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix, and I forgot the other wide receiver. But they got some good weapons over there, I think. And I think overall it's a solid move. I hate to say it as a Raider fan, but I think if the roles were reversed and this was the Raiders making this move and we were kind of like in win now mode, which we haven't seen in quite a while, I'd be happy about this move. But I don't think it's that much of an overpay as far as like giving up draft picks, because you're essentially getting a 4th round pick back, and you're only giving up a late first and a third for a 4th and a wide receiver that I think is better than any wide receiver. Like at that part of the draft, I do a lot of mock drafts, so I think you're looking at like Casey Concepcion, those type of guys. And if you think that he's better than them, then I think it's a no-brainer trade if you're in that position.
Yeah, certainly, dude. I just saw Ben's eyes light up when you were like, "Yeah, Tua's my cousin." I saw Ben go,
"Wait, is he like actually your cousin or no?" I was like, I shouldn't have made fun of him.
Yeah, we're all related. No, we're not.
Okay, it's like you're Samoan.
Okay. All Samoans, we're all related somewhere.
Okay. I was like, oh, sorry. Because I think
I fell for the
scene. He was like, damn, I talk shit about his cousin. No.
Yeah, I just met you.
You're gonna get a visit, big dog. That's exactly what
I told my chat in my live stream when Tua got drafted, I was like, man, I'm gonna call him. It went straight to voicemail.
Dude, I thought the same thing when Samoan was at the Super Bowl. He was like, "Oh yeah, that guy's my cousin." I was like, "That's your cousin?" He was like, "Well, no, we're just the same ethnicity." And I was like,
"I think it was like dog."
I actually thought that was your cousin for a second. I was like, "Dude, get him on the phone."
It could be.
He could be. Yeah, gotta take that ancestry test, man. You guys might be brothers.
Go Falcons this year, right? Come on.
Falcons, bro.
I have one more question to ask Ben. I've seen a lot of Broncos fans say that you guys probably will get rid of some of your receivers now because you guys kind of have a little bit too much there. Do you think you guys are going to maybe trade Mims or Franklin on draft day?
I really hope not. You just saw depth at the receiver position really hurt us in the playoffs. Like we lost to the Patriots by 3, but we were down. It was just Cortland Sutton, and we were playing Lil Jordan Humphreys in that game with both Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin getting hurt. So I hope we don't make any wide receiver trades. There's definitely rumblings of that, but I hope we don't make any trades and we run in with this squad. I think it'd be a nasty wide receiving core if we do.
All right, guys. Well, let us know your thought about this move in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and let's go down to the last big move before we go around and get these guys grades for free agency. Another recent move here because the Chiefs are finally adding a quarterback, Justin Fields, being traded from the Jets to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we know the Chiefs need some help. It wasn't just Patrick Mahomes that went down last year. It was Gardner Minshew on top of that. And so we knew that they didn't just need a starter, but they were also going to need a backup. Getting a former first-round pick that been a journeyman throughout the NFL, but with a couple of organizations, hasn't been able to make it work. And so, Marcus, do you think that you guys can get the best out of him and maybe even be competitive with him early on?
So a few things. So like all rumblings out of Kansas City and Mahomes' camp is that he will be ready for week 1. I think this is more of to have a dude in the building for OTAs, a true QB1 for the receivers and skill players. Jake Glazer even reported that everyone's saying he'll be back by week 1. Hopefully, obviously, any complications that can happen during rehab, but that's the hope that he'll be back for week 1. So I don't expect him to play, and if maybe he plays, like it's maybe a week 18 game down. Hopefully, God forbid. But I think it's a good move for him for his career wise. I know it was more so that I've read that the Jets pretty much asked him, and he pretty much said, "I want to go to Kansas City." It's this kind of reminds me of Darnold going to Shanahan for that 1 year and kind of revitalizing his career to sit with Kyle Shanahan. Fields can sit with Andy Reid and Mahomes, and hopefully find something, find a spark in his career. And we've seen it with Andy did it back in the day with Michael Vick. He's been kind of a QB whisperer over the years, getting the most out of some not the best quarterbacks. Jeff Garcia towards the end of his career. Andy's done this with quarterbacks throughout his tenure as a coach in the NFL. But as far as the Chiefs, I think we'll be able to utilize him. I don't know if you guys know this. Ben might know this. We haven't done a QB sneak with Patrick Mahomes since the Thursday night game.
I remember it. Yep.
So, we don't do QB sneaks. So, to have a quarterback who come in, especially with Mahomes coming off a knee injury, you can have packages where, you have him come in for a snap or two throughout a game, like Taysom Hill style, to do, let Fields do his magic out there. So there's that. You can also have some fun red zone packages, more gimmicky type stuff. I don't see Fields getting a lot of playing time this year, but I could see him doing, some gimmicky stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is a bigger move for Justin Fields to just kind of learn under Andy Reid, and hopefully, he can showcase himself in preseason or in a meaningless week 18 game at the end of the season. So I think that's the hope for Fields. But again, we can utilize him in different ways, in different packages as Mahomes, comes back from this injury, and we don't do QB sneaks. So he could be the guy for that. And a triple option with him and Kenneth Walker could be nasty for a player or two throughout a game. But yeah, we traded a conditional. They haven't released what the conditions are. It's a conditional 6th-round pick of next year's draft. So I don't know what that condition is going to be. But yeah, I think it's not a bad move at all. And plus, there was rumblings of us going to get Russell Wilson. And I do think this, and a lot of Chiefs fans hated that, the Russell Wilson aspect. I said that if they knew something that Mahomes was going to be gone for like a 4-week stretch, a longer period of time, I think they would have gone a Flacco or Russell Wilson route. But I think they know that Mahomes is going to come back and be there by week 1. I think it was smarter for them to go get a guy they can utilize in these special packages like a Justin Fields, instead of going to get a game manager type like Flacco or Russell Wilson. So I do think this bodes well for people who are, if you're in a fantasy league and if you're a Mahomes guy, that I think getting Fields, I think that tells you that they are expecting him to be back by week 1, instead of going to get a Flacco or Russell Wilson type of guy. So
Yeah, it also sounded too like Justin Fields had a couple of teams that were interested in him, but he actually wanted to go to the Kansas City Chiefs, which I think, says a lot about what he thinks about his opportunities there and even the state of that organization. So it'll be interesting, right? Because sometimes these players just need to go to the right circumstance, the right place to develop them to get the best out of them. And can the Kansas City Chiefs be the place that, Fields goes to and finally breaks out in the NFL?
Yeah,
only time's going to tell.
Darnold with Shanahan, Baker with McVay for the last 3 weeks of that season, and then both those guys have turned around since then. I'm not saying that's the reason, but you can.
Yeah, there's a record, right? There's a track record of these things certainly happening, so it's not impossible. But Andrew, let's go on over to you. What do you think about the new quarterback there in Kansas City?
Yeah, I thought that was. I've always liked Justin Fields. I don't know why, but I just always have liked him for some reason, and I want to see him succeed. I think there's some players you see and you're like, man, he should be good, and for some reason cannot figure it out, and he's just one of those guys for me. But it looks like the Jets are paying $7 million on Fields, $10 million, so they're getting it pretty much for free, which is awesome. But I also think it does signal that they're not 100% in the camp that Mahomes will be ready to go week one, right? You don't go get a guy like this to just say, okay, Mahomes will be ready. I mean, you just never know, right? It's an injury you don't want to rush him back on, but we'll see what happens. I like Justin Fields. I thought he was good, but to your point though, Marcus, the creativity that you're going to see from Bieniemy's now back with the Chiefs and also Andy Reid could be pretty interesting. So, if I'm a Chiefs fan, which I am not, of course, but I would say it could be an interesting conversation. And Andy Reid is just awesome to get the most out of his players. So, again, if Mahomes is not ready, you could see an interesting offense week one, and curious to see what that looks like. So, I guess I'm indifferent on it, but I do think it does signal that Mahomes might not be ready week one. So we'll see.
Well, let's go on up to you, Simone. What do you think about this addition? Is he also your cousin, or?
Yeah. He's my cousin from my other side.
Oh,
but no, all reality, man, I like them, man. I don't like the Chiefs, of course, but I like the move because just like Andrew, man, I've been a big fan of Justin Fields. I've always wanted him to come to the Raiders for some reason. But I think going to KC and him picking it, I think that he might be just as excited to join them as well, going to an actual franchise with, some real coaches that can coach him up. And it's a good insurance policy for KC to have a quarterback like him to be ready, or at least run through the whole offseason and just get ready for the season if he's going to be the guy to go, or if Patrick Mahomes is ready to come back. And I think what they gave up wasn't that much. It's more of a low key, like a low risk, high reward type of move for KC. So I don't think it really hurts in any way. And I think he's a much better quarterback he's a much better backup quarterback than what they've had in the past couple of years. So I think it's a solid move, a smart move for KC.
1,000%. I had to argue yesterday with a bunch of fans who were pissed off and saying we wish we had Chad Henne back. I'm like, Chad Henne was a bum. Like, I know he played great in a playoff game for us or meaningful snaps, but like Chad Henne was not a good quarterback in the NFL. And I was like, look at the first 5 years of the stats. You can't even compare the two. It's just ridiculous. The fans, I get it. Fans have nostalgia when they see Chad Henne. Like, oh man, he played great for us in the playoffs when Mahomes went down for a series or two. It's like great, but like Chad Henne was not a good quarterback. So,
but I have a question for Marcus though. Like, now that you got a young quarterback and Justin Fields coming in, if he goes over there and like he balls out, do you guys really need Patrick Mahomes anymore? Or
I agree.
You guys want to ship him over?
Yep.
Ship him over? We'll give you the first round pick for next year.
I wish the kid the best. Though. I hope he gets a job elsewhere. So, but
he's like Trey Lance for me. Like those two quarterbacks, I'm always rooting for him for some reason.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, his numbers are actually really impressive, man. Like, I know he's a dual threat quarterback, but like what stood out to me was his 52 to 32 touchdown interception ratio. I thought, like, just hearing all these things. I mean, I play fantasy, but like hearing all these Jets and Bears fans just dogging the crap out of him. It's like, actually, I mean, 52 to 32 touchdown interception ratio is not bad for a guy who people run out of town everywhere he goes. So
yeah, I mean, if he did have to play, he would do well, right? You want a backup quarterback that can just not lose you a game, just be a serviceable guy, and I think he's that way, right? I think Andy Reid could call a game that he could get a couple wins for you guys for sure.
You better hope you're not playing that Raiders defense week one though. So
I hope we never see him.
That might be the best time to play them, honestly.
That's the best time to play the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go on over to you, Ben. What are your thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, I'm actually with Andrew and Samoan on this. That there's no world in which Patrick Mahomes is back for week 1. Like Micah Parsons has already come out and said he's not coming back to week 4, and he had a less severe leg injury than Mahomes did. I think like trading McDuffie and then this is truly a sign that the Chiefs are doing like a little bit of a hard reset here and a rebuild. They weren't making the playoffs last year with a healthy Mahomes, and I think if Justin Fields can be humbled to play that Taysom Hill role, that's a terrifying proposition for all of us because Andy Reid would feast on that. Yeah. But he's been reluctant to do it in all 3 of the last stops, and all 3 of those places after he left Chicago, it was like, well, Mike Tomlin, like it's just a quarterback reset, he'll be good. And then it was like, oh, well, now he's every stop along the way, there's been hope. But if he would humble himself and play that Wildcat, he's an insane athlete. He just does not get through the reads enough. So it wasn't the touchdown interception. It was just like he was the most sacked quarterback every single stop along the way. And then, the Chiefs offensive line is nothing to write home about. So it's a scary move if he humbles himself. And I guess Andy Reid's the type of coach who if you're choosing to go there and it can get you 5 extra years in the league to kind of be that Taysom Hill type person, that could be really good. But Andy Reid is like one of the best coaches in football. And if you look at the offense he ran with the Eagles and the offense he runs with Pat Mahomes, they're totally different. That he caters his offense to the skill set of his play caller. And so a lot of the stuff that Mahomes ran in college, they just ran the exact same playbook when he got to Kansas City. So I trust 4 games with Justin Fields. It's not going to look like the same offense that Pat Mahomes runs. And I think you see Justin Fields as the signal caller through week 4, probably.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Well, guys, let us know your thoughts about this trade in the comment section below. Now let's get into the final free agency recap, where each of these guys are going to give their grades for their respective teams throughout free agency. We know some other moves are going to be made here and there. There'll be another wave of free agency, but for the most part, 2026 NFL free agency has come to a close. And then, of course, we're going to get the rest of your guys' thoughts, too, about the other teams in the division and what would you grade their drafts. Now, Samoan, want to start off here with your Raiders. They were maybe one of the biggest winners here of free agency, despite what happened with Max Crosby, all the deals that you guys made. We broke all those down last week, so make sure you guys go ahead and check out last week's episode where we talk about the Chargers moves, the Raiders moves, the Chiefs moves, broke those down in depth. But Samoan, calculating all those moves together, what grade would you give your Raiders?
Oh, man, I'll definitely give the Raiders an A, and I'm not trying to be biased. I think just for the big moves that we made, those big splashes, I think with all the moves that we brought in, like the Tyler Linderbaums, and then going out getting Quay Walker, and even adding Nakobe Dean, while also getting Max Crosby back to this defense that we already got right now, I think overall, like I'll definitely give the Raiders a solid A. I haven't seen a Raiders offseason like this where they actually be aggressive and get multiple guys, like multiple big guys to come over here. So I love it so far. And I know it's the offseason, and I think that this is probably like the best time to be a Raider fan until the season starts. And hopefully it's a different story. But, I'm happy with everything that we've done so far.
I love your realistic attitude there, Simone. It's
I try to be, man.
I love it.
Realism, man. You could have been like, it's an A+.
4th place again. Don't worry about it, Simone. It's going to be fun.
It was an A-, and then Max Crosby came back. Okay, you're A.
Oh, so it went up because of Max Crosby.
Went up a little bit.
It's an A. Let's go on over to Ben. Ben, what would you give the Raiders in terms of a free agency grade?
It's hard not to give him an A, but my giant asterisk next to that A is that only 5% of teams who are signed to a new team in free agency end up making a Pro Bowl. And there's an inverse correlation between the amount of money you spend in free agency and the amount of wins it equates to over 5 years. And tons of studies on PFF that just show like the top 5 highest spending teams in free agency. You have the bottom 5 number of wins, and you look at teams like Pittsburgh Steelers, who never spend anything, and Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. And, it's like what the Patriots did. Props to my man Colby, but like Bill Belichick would let everybody throw their best punch first couple of days of free agency and then just go clean up. And it was a dynasty better than anything the Chiefs have ever done. Right. And that's just a straight cold hard fact. So I'd give it an A, but I would just temper your long-term expectations. It's all going to come down to Mendoza. And if he's good, Raiders are going to be really good.
Yeah. And I agree with Ben real quick though. I don't expect none of these guys to make the Pro Bowl because I think they'll be gearing up for the game in LA next year, right?
Oh goodness gracious! Here we go.
You know what I mean? No,
Here we go. Wow.
It took a minute. It took a minute to catch on, but we finally did.
Yeah.
We finally caught on there. Hey, and we talked about this last week too, right? What you do in free agency does not build a good team. It can help expedite the process. It helps set the culture, right? It helps set what you're trying to do. But the way you build a good team is by drafting good every single year. And general managers will tell you that firsthand. But Marcus, let's go down to you. What grade will you give the Raiders?
I think I said it last week. I thought it was like A+. I mean, they had a lot of money to spend, and they went out and spent it. And then on top of that, they got back Crosby. So now you're talking about a defensive line with Kuntz, Crosby, Nakobe Dean. I mean, it's a scary front. I mean, that's another defense that the Chiefs would have to face that has a scary defensive front with Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers. So, I think the Raiders are kind of revamped themselves defensively. Now, obviously, Mendoza on the offensive side of the ball. Could be interesting to see how, Genty takes a year or two leap, but just based on the offseason signings and the acquisitions, they spent a lot of money and they got a lot of talent. So, I think A+. I think I get what Ben said. Usually teams that spend a lot of money in the offseason. Yeah. And the Raiders have been one of these teams many times where they've spent a lot of money in the offseason and hasn't really panned out. But I think this year, I mean, you can't really knock the moves you guys made. So
yeah, and I'm hoping that the Raiders have learned from their mistakes and as they were doing background checks, they checked on does this guy do weird tickles in the locker room, like Christian Wilkins? And if he did, don't let him there.
Like Wilkins, if it's if it causes a tickle fight in the locker room.
Yeah.
Facts, you know what I'm saying? A tickle fight is better than
man. I'll tell you, if you can tickle game and play good on Sundays. Everybody needs to laugh once in a while, right?
I think they leaked a PG version of that story because the fact that no team has touched him. I know he had a foot injury, but the fact that no team has touched him since
I like the pun.
He touched a lot of people. I can tell you that.
Where want to touch him back?
Tickling them? That's the question. Where was he tickling them? I think that's
Wilkins on the Epstein list too. There,
he might be in that file.
He's on the Epstein list.
He's on the Epstein list.
He's still on the island right now. That's why he didn't get signed yet.
Okay, I'm just saying, no big deal.
Oh man, that's awesome. Andrew, what would you give the Raiders free agency grade?
Yeah, I'd still give it an A. But here's the thing, guys. Desperation is not a best-selling cologne. Look, I'm telling you right now, desperate teams do desperate things, right? And that's what the Raiders are doing. And look, don't get me wrong. You got Kubiak. You're going to sit back and say, hey, they won a Super Bowl. We can do it now. Look, I get that, right? We'll find out mid-season if this is going to pay off or not. Now, again, great example, too. You guys are going to go out and get the, Cuban Missile. You're going to put all your hopes into a rookie QB in the NFL. Guys, I'm telling you, that's a long shot. Mm-hmm. That's a Hallmark movie if I ever saw one, if you guys go to the Super Bowl. But look, at the end of the day, Raider fans, they like to have their heads in the clouds and say you guys are going to win a Super Bowl every year. But never seems to happen. But look, at the end of the day, I give you guys an A. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, Raiders fans, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below, and let us know what would you grade the Raiders free agency. Ben, let's go on over to you. Now, guys haven't really done much in free agency. You finally make the Waddle move, so that gives some substance to talk about. What would you give the Denver Broncos free agency period?
Denver Broncos, only team in the NFL who made absolutely zero additions in NFL free agency from another outside team. They are bringing back 94% of the starters from last season. And the closest other team who was in an AFC championship game or Super Bowl was the 2019 Chiefs, brought back 83% of their starters from that year. So a year ago at this time, Sean Payton said this was one of the 6 teams he's coached in his whole career that could make it to a Super Bowl. And we're a bone X broken ankle away from being a Super Bowl team. And so Sean showed a tremendous amount of trust in this team and didn't do anything in free agency. But what he has done, because we have the richest owner in all of professional sports, we got Walmart money to play with, is he has been years ahead of dudes before they become free agents and signing them down. So we have the best corner in football, Patrick Surtain, who's the 5th highest paid corner in football. We have the best guard in football, and he's the 4th highest paid guard in football. And so at that level, you're thrilled about this, that we are ahead of those deals, and we've got 10 guys on this team. We had the most Pro Bowlers, the most All Pros. We had the most coaches who were tried to be plucked from our staff, who had head coaching interviews at other teams. The trajectory, y'all need to just buy Broncos stock, because I'm thrilled with the direction of this team. the other sneaky thing here is that Sean Payton is the master of finding loopholes and spamming those loopholes and getting crazy results out of them. And so what he has found is that getting compensatory picks for the guys who are leaving your team is far more valuable than overpaying a dude like Alec Pierce or any of these other guys in free agency. So the Broncos are losing John Franklin Meyer to the Tennessee Titans and PJ Locke to the Dallas Cowboys. And by losing both those guys, they get a 3rd round compensatory pick for John Franklin Myers and a 6th round compensatory pick for PJ Locke. And dudes like Jacoby Myers was acquired by the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 6th round draft pick. Guys like Michael Pittman are a 5th round draft pick. So picks in the NFL are freaking Bitcoin, dude. It's gold. It is the currency. And so it's actually why the Chargers have done very little. There was a CBS article about how the Chargers intentionally aren't signing anyone who will hurt their ability to get compensatory picks for the guys who left. One of the reasons the Chiefs got Fields instead of Russell Wilson was because they traded for him. If they got Russell Wilson, they would not be getting compensatory picks for some of their free agents they left. So I get everybody else in here is probably gonna say the Broncos got an F, but we're a 14-win team last season, and Sean Payton found a loophole that he'd rather have a 3rd and a 6th round compensatory pick than overpaying for any of these other guys.
Certainly a great angle to look at there, Ben. Marcus, let's go down to you. What would you give the Denver Broncos?
As a Chiefs fan, and he kind of cited it, but and I talked about it last week, teams that are good, you retain your talent. You go into free agency, locking up guys, and pretty much keeping your culture and keeping the guys around to make another run for it. It's tough to grade the Broncos. You can't really, I would say B+. I mean, you guys kept your squad. The only thing I would say was, and I know you're getting a comp pick for him, draw the Franklin Myers. I think he's a stud. And the fact that he's gone, you guys have a good defensive line anyway, so it's not like it's going to be that big of a loss. But that's that's a big loss. I was hoping we actually signed him. But, other than that, you guys didn't really lose much. I mean, Dre Greenlaw, a guy who barely played for you guys. I mean, Greenlaw was supposed to be a big addition for you guys last year, and it just never really panned out. So, again, it's not really a loss. So, I would say B+, B. The only ding I would give it is Franklin Myers, and I thought you overpay for Waddle, but again, That's his champagne problem. So I'm not gonna knock the Broncos. I think like I said, you retain your dudes. You're a good team. You retain them. You don't need to go out and spend like the Raiders did. So
yeah, and your Dre Greenlaw is a perfect point of I was ripping my shirt. I was trying to get a Greenlaw tattoo, and that was everybody was like, oh, the perfect signing, and he played 7 games for us. So dudes you get in free agency are usually there for a reason. It's being at Applebee's at 2 a.m. That's not where you're gonna find your forever girl. No offense, Colby, she might be great for you, but that's not where you find the prime piece of real estate.
Man, I hate Applebee's, man. That's the only place you go when it's damn, TGI Fridays is closed. This place is closed. Okay, guess we're going to Applebee's. It's the only thing half-half, I guess. What a great way to compare those, Ben. That was A+. And just going over to you, what would you grade the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, man, I give it a B too. I mean, Ben, you said it perfectly, and it's interesting. I'll talk about the Chargers, what they did, but they are focused on the comp picks. And Charger fans have been frustrated with it, but I think what Ben said was 100% spot on. You're happy with what you have. You don't really need to make some crazy moves. You don't need to be desperate and go out and sign some splashy players. You're just happy with what you have. You want to keep your locker room the same way and have another shot at the apple, or at the Big Apple the next year, right, in the Super Bowl. And to your point, man, you were one broken ankle away from at least having an opportunity to be at the Super Bowl. So Denver doesn't need a whole lot, right? There's 2 teams in this division that made the playoffs, right? Chargers made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Denver made the playoffs 2 years in a row. They didn't need to make a lot of moves, and they didn't make a lot of moves. So, I think Ben's spot on. I don't have anything else to add.
Perfect. Let's go on up to you, Simone. Wrap us up here with the Denver Broncos talk. What grade are you going to give?
Well, the Raiders are one of those teams that needed to make a lot of moves, but that's besides the point. I gave the Broncos a C+ because I had them at a C, but I think with the move that they made today, it was a C+ because I don't think there was anything bad that they did this year. And when you're looking at teams like those teams that are competing, especially close to the Super Bowl or in the Super Bowl, a lot of those teams lose a lot of their players. So the fact that they were able to get a lot of their players back, I couldn't put it any lower than C or even higher than C, but I think with the addition of adding, Jalen Waddle today makes their team better, especially in the wide receiver group. And I said earlier, I like that move for them, and I didn't think that they gave up too much for him. So like I said, Sean Payton and them boys do believe that this team is good enough to run it back and possibly compete for a Super Bowl. You can't really hate on it. And like they're the type of team, Andrew brought up a good point. They're the type of team that doesn't need to make a lot of big splashes in free agency when they already got the right amount of guys on their team right now. So I just had a C+.
Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we get into the Chiefs, we got a $5 super chat. Samoan, love the Raider image on you. Here you go, Simone. Get some compliments here this week, man. There you go. Hey. Chargers, stop talking how to win. Never. Need a Chiefs rep on the WW show tomorrow at Marcus F the Pats. Hey, man. Six of these babies, and we were in the bowl again. So I'm living my best life. But hey, Marcus, looks like you're getting recruited, my friend.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, DM me on Twitter, buddy.
There you go, man. Got Marcus on your show. Let's go on over to you, Marcus. We talked about this last week. Maybe you guys didn't do a whole lot. Bringing Kyrie's Tonga. Big one was Kenneth Walker. What would you give the Chiefs free agency?
I would say a B+, B range. The only thing I'll say, the only knock I'm going to give us is the fact that we didn't get an edge rusher. But again, as we've talked about, the market for edge rushers, you're going to get an edge rusher. You were overspending and overpaying for an edge rusher. We can't do that. And that's why this is a good draft. You need an edge rusher. It's a very deep edge class. So I'm fine with going with that, but that'd probably be my only knock. But yeah, if you look at a lot of the departures, I know Ben's made a comment about Trey McDuffie, we weren't going to pay him. We didn't have the money to pay him, and look at Veach's history. He doesn't pay defensive backs. Doesn't do it. He didn't pay Snead, didn't pay McDuffie, didn't pay Charvarius Ward, so he lets those guys go. Didn't pay Marcus Peters either, who led the league in interceptions at one point with Kansas City. So he doesn't do that. We end up getting a good haul back for him. We got about 85% of what we got for Tyreek Hill for DB. Pretty good. Brian Cook, we let him go safety wise. Let him go. And then we signed Gilman. So I think that's a pretty good replacement. We saved $3 million on that per year by bringing in Gilman instead of Cook. Leo Chanel was a big hit to a lot of Chief fans. I know a lot of Chief fans really wanted Leo to come back. Commanders ended up signing him. Leo was a guy that we never really utilized properly. I don't know why we didn't, but we never utilized him properly. It was until the end of this year we actually utilized him, allowed him to go rush the passer, kind of play him all over the place. And that's probably my biggest, besides the loss of Trent McDuffie, which I get why we traded him. Leo Chanel not being retained was the only thing that I kind of was upset about. But as far as the guys you brought in, Gilman, I love. Tonga was great. And the big thing for us going into this offseason was defensive line depth and the running back room. Now, Kenneth Walker was a huge signing for us. I went off about his explosive rate and how great he is and how we just haven't had that with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. But on top of that, after our show last week on Friday, we ended up signing Amari DeMarcado, who another explosive running back and a great third down back. And you have him and you have Kenneth Walker. You pretty much remade your offensive, your running back room. And DeMarcado would have been probably our best running back on our team last year. So the fact that he's now our third down back mixed in with Kenneth Walker, mixed in with Brashard Smith also on the team as well. It's a huge the running back room itself is a huge A+ comparatively to where we were last year. Getting rid of Juwan Taylor is addition by subtraction. So that's a huge win for us. But overall, yeah, I would say B+ range. I just wish we would have had a defensive end or an edge rusher in free agency, but I get why we didn't because, you're paying up the nose for guys like Oweh, so I get why they didn't do that, and I get this draft class is the perfect one for that. So I would say B+ for the Chiefs.
B+ for Marcus's Chiefs. Andrew, let's go on over to you. What grade would you give?
Yeah, B+, man. Look, Kenneth Walker, I did not want him to go to the Chiefs. I was kind of pissed about that one. I mean, look, dude's a stud. And what was it again? Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it a number? How many years since Mahomes has had a 1,000-yard rusher?
Never had one.
No, he's never had one in the league. That's right. He was in college. So Kenneth Walker's big. Gilman, I know how Gilman is. Gilman is an awesome safety. I like Tyquan Thornton and then Tonga. I think again, the Chiefs, I don't think needed to make a lot of big moves. They made moves they needed to make, and Kenneth Walker was big. Alohi Gilman fills a good spot for them. They're going to build in the draft. I mean, that's what I think teams that have good players and have good culture do. And I think the Chiefs aren't far off, guys. I mean, we could argue all day that, Mahomes might not be back week 1, but they're still the Chiefs. They're still a team that it has a very good culture, and they know how to win, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still the Chiefs. I'm going to say this right now. I still think the AFC West is going to be one of the toughest divisions this next year. I think all these teams have improved 100%. Even the Raiders. I know a dog on the Raiders, but the Raiders are going to be a better team next year. You guys spending all the damn money. You better be a better team anyway. So my point is,
come on, man.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But again, I just don't think the Chiefs needed to make major moves. I think Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers did not need to make major moves. They needed to make a few moves. So I give you guys a B+ for sure. So hey, we'll see you guys. It's gonna be fun.
Will the division be better next year? I feel like I've heard you guys say that the last 2 years. But you know what? Maybe this is the year. Just keep saying it, and at some point you will be right. Samoan, let's go over to you.
We did have 3 teams out of our division.
Don't worry, guys. We'll make it competitive next year, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Last year we don't worry about last year.
Raiders, you know what I mean?
That's on us. That's on us. So we'll take that.
You'll be eliminated week 5
next year.
Again next year. No big deal.
Next year, I told you when Fernando comes over here, better watch out. But in all seriousness, so I think for the Chiefs, man, I give them a solid B for what they did in free agency. I think they made some really solid splashes for a team that I feel like is already kind of set in the league right now, even with or without Patrick Mahomes. But I think just the addition of having Justin Fields today helps out as well. But I just like everybody else, Kenneth Walker, you're getting an MVP running back right there, and somebody that definitely upgrades that running back room over there. I like the Usos that you brought in, the polys that you guys brought in with Gilman and Tonga on the defensive line as well. So I definitely got to show love to that. And I think overall, I know that you guys didn't address the defensive line, but I mean, it's a good year to address it in the draft. And you guys got 2 first-round picks. So even trading away Trent McDuffie for what you guys got in return, I think is huge to kind of, build upon that. And I'm kind of nervous to see the Chargers, the Chiefs with 2 first-round picks in this year's draft and seeing what they'll be able to do. Because there's always somebody that falls, somebody that nobody expects to fall later in like the 20s, 30s or whatnot. But yeah, I think that they're on the right track. I didn't think that they needed to do a lot more, but I think the only question that was up in the air, I think for the whole offseason was just Patrick Mahomes, but they definitely upgraded in a lot of positions, even with some of the people that left. So I think overall a solid B. It could even be a B+, but I give it a B.
All right, well, let's go on over to the biggest Chiefs hater I know. Ben, what are you going to give?
Bro, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I got to say B. So I know I just met you guys, Marcus. You seem like a nice guy, but dude, you are on your own supply, bro. This was an abysmal season, and Andrew and Simone, shame on you to be like, you didn't need to make big moves. They didn't make the freaking playoffs, dude. Like, their best wide receiver is going to miss the entire season because he hits women. They're bringing back the oldest tight end in all of professional football.
First off,
they lost their best defensive player and got a fraction of what the Jets got for Sauce Gardner, who's not as good as Trent McDuffie. So all this talk about, we got a first-round pick, it's number 29. Like, the Jets got 2 first-round picks that were way higher than the Chiefs got, and they also got Adonai Mitchell, a starting wide receiver that you desperately need. Tyquan Thornton was the least open wide receiver in football. Like, the Chiefs are the team that has the most cap space going to the fewest number of dudes in the entire NFL, that you have got one of the top paid quarterbacks. You have one of the top paid over the hill, Chris Jones. You got the top paid long snapper. You're given Kenneth Walker, who's only played 1 season of 17 games in his whole career, and it was on a contract year. He's as injury prone as a guy like J.K. Dobbins. You're giving him top of the line money at $16 million a year. It was not a good offseason. So I do not know what has happened to this show since I left, but my goodness, am I taking crazy? Like, how am I wrong? You didn't make the playoffs last year and you lost your best defensive player, and now you're overpaying for a running back who is splitting carries most of the season. Anyone who had Kenneth Walker on a fantasy team knows he's not the answer. And the reason you haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher, Andy Reid even said, is because Patrick Mahomes checks out of every run play. The Chiefs are not making the playoffs this year.
Bold. I will say I believe Kenneth Walker. I believe Kenneth Walker chose the Kansas City Chiefs over Denver. So you guys,
because the Denver Broncos were not going to
your
pay
second round picks. Obviously
$10 million.
not the dude, and obviously you guys aren't big on draft picks. That's why you traded your entire draft for Jalen Waddle. So
Oh man, we gotta have Ben back, man. We gotta have Ben back when the regular season comes along to really break this one down with Marcus. Who was right? Who was wrong? Only time is gonna tell. We got a few minutes left. Let's get to the Chargers. Andrew, what grade are you going to give your Chargers, who quietly made some pretty good additions?
Yeah, I give it a B plus. Again, I just don't feel like the Chargers needed to make a lot of big moves. Made the playoffs 2 years in a row. I think they're happy with this team overall. I think getting a new offensive coordinator really is going to change the way this team is going to look moving forward. Defenses look great 2 years in a row. Going to run the same defense. One of our defensive coordinators is back now, running our defense since we lost Jesse Minter to the Ravens as a head coach. So again, I don't think we needed to make big moves. And I know Charger fans do not want to hear this because guys, we have $62 million still available, and everyone's like, oh, let's go get AJ Brown, let's go do this and that. They are not going to go spend a ton of money on players. They're not. They're going to go get some value picks and work on their comp picks moving forward. Right now, Adolphe is looking like a 3rd round pick next year. They're going to keep working on that comp pick side of the house. And so it's going to be interesting. Now, I will say this, a couple picks that we did scoop up after that I think are exciting. A lot of people will not think they are. Keaton Mitchell that we got from the Ravens. Dude is fast as hell. He's a burner. He's behind King Henry, so obviously wasn't going to get a lot of touches. We did re-sign Delshon Phillips, linebacker, special teams ace, went to the Pro Bowl. Again, keeping things in-house. And then we signed Josh Harris, long snapper. I know it's not sexy. He was a Pro Bowler as well. Very good signing as well. Again, the theme is this. The team is good, right? Just like the Broncos. The team is good. We just need to sign our team back and get them here. Denzel Perriman is back again with the Chargers. And then we did go out and get Dalvian Tomlinson from the Arizona Cardinals. Not a splashy pick. Underperformed his contract with Cardinals, but I think he'll do well with the Chargers because of the system that we run. I know Charger fans don't want to hear that our team is good. And yes, you can make an argument all day that we didn't go out and make splashy plays to help protect Justin Herbert. But Biotish, Trevor Penning, and also Cole Strange are definite upgrades from what we had last season on the offensive line. And I think they're going to build in the draft. And I think there's going to be more moves to be made. So again, B plus is what I give them. I mean, look, we all want to go out the big, splashy, sexy pick, but you're not going to see that with Harbaugh and this, the people at the helm right now. So yeah, I give it a B plus.
All right, Samoan, Ben, Marcus, give us your grades real quick before we log on off for the day. Samoan, let's start with you.
I'll give them a B. Are we just giving the grade? I'll give them a score.
Yeah, that's good. Just to be solid.
I honestly, Chargers are the second scariest team in our division. You didn't need to protect Justin Herbert. You just need Slater and Alt to be back. That's a terrifying team, and I think that's the second best team in our division. And you could argue if they're fully healthy, they're scarier than the Broncos.
Oh, okay, Ben. Respect.
Thank you, Ben.
Give us some respect. I didn't expect that. All right. Let's go now to you, Marcus. What do you think?
I'll go A minus. They upgraded center, and the offensive line's been one of their big issues. So yeah, as long as the guys in the offensive line are healthy, this is a scary team. So.
Sounds like a lot of respect here for the Chargers amongst the AFC West, but this is where we kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts and what would you grade each of these respective teams' free agencies? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, make sure you guys subscribe to these guys' individual channels linked in the description box below. Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Make sure you guys subscribe here to the AFC West Roundtable on the way out. Slam that like button, comment your thoughts in the comment section. But until next time, we will see you guys to start pivoting over to the draft, man. Draft content right around the bend for you guys, so stay tuned. But of course, until next time, stay safe.
Roundtable Sports Network is your one-stop shop for all things NFL, with daily live shows covering all 8 divisions in the league, hosted by the best content creators on the web, all on one network. Catch the AFC East live every Monday at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. The AFC North Roundtable live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. The AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. The NFC East Roundtable live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. The NFC West Roundtable live at 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights. The NFC North Roundtable is at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, And the NFC South Roundtable is live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST. And of course, fourth and forever, the flagship show of Roundtable Sports Network covering all things NFL at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Roundtable Sports YouTube channel. Real coverage, real fans.